Hi, everyone. My name is Tati. I'm the founder of Three Spirit. Three Spirit is a non-alcoholic drinks range, but it's a little bit different. And I'll tell you our story, but also about our journey from launching as an e-commerce brand. So back in 2018, when we launched, the non-alc space was pretty empty. There was a lot of kind of brands that were kind of copying Seedlip, trying to be a non-alc gin, a non-alc vodka. But I think as a drinker, we always thought people drink to feel good, they drink to unwind, they drink to party, they go out and want to feel something. So we thought there was this interesting white space where we could use ingredients to help you feel something. So whether that was to give you a lift or help you unwind, we thought there was something there. So we use various different herbs and ingredients to help you feel something in our range. Now, being relatively new to the world, there was nothing else out there like us. We thought, will anyone give a shit about what we do? So we'll launch online and really get a sense of like if people care, who you might be, and kind of understand more about the people who are adopting to our brand. So 5 years on, this is where we're at. By no means anything like your vodka brand, which is very impressive. But we've done around over $15 million in direct-to-consumer revenue since 2018. We're actually the #1 selling non-alc brand in the biggest non-alc bottle shops in the US and the UK. So we might be weird, but we're also kind of wonderful. And we have a massive audience of over 390,000 people now, which is a pretty powerful tool to have when you're beginning to tackle more traditional channels. So one thing I always think with e-commerce is everyone thinks you need a really beautiful website and then everyone will come and it will be great. The truth is, running an online business can be expensive, and your team is completely different to a traditional drinks brand. You don't have brand ambassadors. You're not out there in the on-premise necessarily. You'll have a team that looks a little something like this. So my team, I have an agency for running your adverts and doing your emails. That costs up to around, I'd say, $5,000 to $10,000 a month plus commission. You need a website. Agency for that can be kind of $1,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 a month on a retainer, depending on what you're doing. We have a social team who covers kind of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and it's a kind of content generating machine. It's not some kind of pretty picture. It's you're always testing, learning, doing all sorts of new things. In-house, we'll have I kind of have a creator, I call her. She's making kind of videos and things like that. I have a designer, then I have a brand manager. Ops-wise, you need a 3PL, you need packaging, and then your customer service. We get up to, I think, around 4,000, we call them tickets a month, which could be a social comment or an email, and you have to reply to those. And people want to reply within 24 hours ideally. So this is what it's like running a kind of e-commerce brand. And then in terms of emails, I think we make around 40% of our revenue from emails alone, but that involves sending up to kind of 3 a week and also having things like abandoned cart and different flows set up. So your emails are just like always going. You get emails from brands that probably annoy you. They also kind of work. So that's what my team setup looks like. So how we find our customers. So we work with a lot of influencers. We don't always pay masses of money, loads of money for them. We work with people who write to us, who want to try our product. Some of the best performing things that have happened have been kind of people on TikTok who don't have a big following that ask for product. And we've had one TikTok video that I think did around $500,000 in revenue just from one video, which was nuts for her and nuts for us. She made around 20 grand from us on a kind of affiliate basis for that as well. We do PR, we do very well with PR, and that's really important, I think, for, you might see an advert online and then they come to the site and you need to validate your advert with something that's recognized. So have you been in the New York Times? Have you been in a piece of media that someone will recognize? We do a lot of word of mouth and referrals. If you've got customers that love you, then you can put them to work. And if they can tell people about you, then you can reward them with more product and things like that. And then also, we do sampling and events as well. The barrier to entry with, I'd say, non-alc full stop is, will I like it? It's going to cost you £25, $39 to buy it online. So sampling's another way for us to overcome that if you have seen us online. So whilst it's a big investment, this is what the outcome looks like. I think as a brand, wherever you start, you're always looking for kind of consumers to know who you are. Whether they're just seeing you online or in a store or in a bar, you want them to know you. So by launching direct to consumer first, we've got around 20 million brand views online. 30% of our revenue is repeat. If you're selling in stores or bars, you have no idea who the customer is and you have no idea who's coming back or how many of those people are coming back. So it gives you a lot of confidence for when you're going out to speak to retailers. You can say, like, hand on my heart, I know that people come back and this is who they are. And we have customers that spend kind of in excess of $1,200 a year with us. They're buying cases of 6 or 12 a month, and being non-out, that's responsible, so I'm allowed to say that. And we have done over $500,000 of revenue just from this cohort of super users. So when we find the right person, they are really valuable for us. And understanding that helps you understand how much you're willing to invest to find a customer. If you don't know that, then it's harder to go and spend money on adverts. Does that make sense? So pros and cons. It's definitely not all pros at all. Biggest pros, I'd say, to doing anything in e-commerce is knowing who your customer is. I know exactly who they are. I know where they live. I know where they shop. I know which shop they want us to be stocked in. I know how much they're willing to spend, and I know how they're drinking our drink. Weirdly, 1/3 of our consumers in America are drinking our drink neat, something which is not necessarily what we recommend, but something that was fascinating for us to recently discover. We can sell nationwide, right? You can reach everyone, everywhere in the UK or the US where we're based, who cares about non-alc, who cares about functional drinks. And we're not just focused on kind of New York and trying to just tackle that one state. You get to understand where the demand is for your product. Understanding repeat rates, as I said. And I think the ability to kind of scale without distributor listings, without BAs, all you really need is the ability to kind of ship your product to someone. And I can run my e-commerce in the US from a team in the UK. I don't need that much of a setup in that market to get started. And then when you have an audience of kind of a couple of 100,000 people, once you go into a national retailer, you can actually start sending them coupons to go into that store. You can shift their purchasing habits from online into offline. And it's a really powerful thing to be able to have that. And then by default, Amazon just happens automatically, because what will happen is people will see your adverts online and they'll go to Amazon if that's their preference. The cons, margins. Margins can be a nightmare, particularly in America where it costs $17 to ship a single bottle. Things can happen overnight. I don't know if any of you know about iOS 14. That's a very, very bad day for me in e-commerce. It was when Apple changed their privacy laws, which meant that all advertising was suddenly really, really challenged and restricted. Good for the customer, but a very kind of dark day for people in e-commerce suddenly. And something like that can have a significant impact on a business. Expensive software, agencies, the amount of things that you keep piling onto your kind of software stack really does add up. And I think the cost of doing business, you're permanently having to invest all the time in content. We built a new website a year and a half ago, and my developer told me last week that we're going to have to rebuild it. And I was like, why? So those are the pros and cons. And then I think what it means for when you go into bars and restaurants is that these are the things that we can do. So with a big audience, you can send in a team of people who can make amazing content. You could get, I think we got the Con or a video with 1 million views. So it's pretty cool to be able to turn around to a bartender and say that I can do this for you. And you can also drive customers into stores by using your email database as well. And then this is just a map that is just useful, I think, to understand what that looks like for our business. So we have distribution where it's yellow, and our bar and retail listings where it's red, but then our consumer sales, that's what they look like. So in terms of kind of go-to-market strategy, when I'm thinking about it on a kind of state-by-state basis in the US, you get a sense of okay, well, where is the biggest demand for us? Texas is probably where we should go next. Colorado is also really interesting. And so it helps you understand where your customers are so that you can go into that market with a sense of confidence. And then this is just something that I would take a picture of if I was into e-commerce, because it's kind of the key metrics for an e-commerce business that maybe would be useful to know. And some of the things that you might think about, what we look at in our business. And I think that's it.